Hi everyone, and welcome to my 30-day coding challenge where I'll try to learn to code a fully functioning website in 30 days. This was day 24. So let's just get into what I did today and what are the next steps. Right, from yesterday's video, you would know that I've decided to code a poker web app wherein I would be hoping to have at least a table where we can play Texas Hold'em poker. I guess it's going to be a complicated code. And today I made some pretty good progress in at least the backend side of it. I've coded about 300 lines of backend code, obviously with the help of Codex. And as I told you guys yesterday, that how I'm using Codex is I'm using it as a teacher. So it obviously guides me on the next steps, and then I code whatever I need to code on my Goland IDE, and then I'll paste the code into the Codex, and then it will review the code. Most of the time it has to make some sort of corrections in my code. Sometimes the logic is wrong, sometimes the flow that I'm coding is not correct. Basically, I'm still trying to learn about the different errors that can happen in Go and how can I return them. So sometimes I forget to return an error, which has been a consistent theme in terms of my mistakes so far. But pretty happy that I've been able to do like almost 300 lines of code from scratch since yesterday. And so far, we have been quite deep into the game logic as well. Now, I have added few players. Now I've added a few logic around the game as well, where people can have their cards. And we have also implemented some sort of poker logic as well, as in when they're gonna get the flop and how many cards will be there, and what phase it will progress to after flop, such as it will go to turn, then it will go to river. So these sort of quite decent like coding logic I have been able to write with the help of Codex, which was quite cool. And now I can sort of make sense of whatever I have done so far in Go, and it all sort of coming together as well, which is quite nice. As you can see, like I have been able to make quite a few helper functions, which mean the smaller functions. One of the functions is let's say how we will draw a card from the deck, and the other function is then how we will shuffle the deck. So all these functions are obviously quite new to me, but it was quite fun to understand like how it's written in the backend language, especially in Go, which seems to be quite simple. I mean, I don't think I have had any issues, at least from the logic and syntax part of the Go as of now. And there's still, yeah, I mean, the more sort of advanced topic are still yet to be seen, such as concurrency, mutex, and Go routines, which we'll probably cover later in the next 2 or 3 days, when if we are going to be adding more tables, if we're going to be like doing few games at the same time, then probably we're going to be using those concepts. But as of now, it has been quite simple, linear sort of progression in terms of complexity and in terms of function as well, which is quite nice. And obviously I can relate to it and I can understand the logic. Most of the logic is being written by me and then corrected and checked by Codex. So what format I'm following now is I'll write the code, I'll paste in Codex, and then Codex will review the code and suggest if there's any mistakes, or suggest if there's any like logic mistake. It will flag it to me, and then I'll correct it in my Goland ID and then come back and paste the code. And at the end of, let's say, one function or one logic, I asked it to ask me a few questions about it. So it gives me around 20 multiple choice questions and sometimes 4 or 5 theory question as well. Well, I have to answer, and then it will review my answers and sort of have a grasp of my understanding of the coding so far in Golang. And so far, I'm quite satisfied with my progress as well. Like yeah, I can, if I were to code it even without Golang or Codex now, hopefully I'll be able to retrace all the steps right now and be able to code on my own. So far, obviously, like I need to have a little bit of nudge in terms of logic or in terms of capabilities of the language Go. Sometimes like I do not know how to mutate a slice, or sometimes I forget to, as I said earlier, like return an error. So these things obviously will become more sort of strong as I practice, but so far I do not have any issue in at least in terms of logic. And we have been able to cover quite a complex logic in terms of like, you know, shuffling the deck, dealing two players, and then making sure that we are updating the table size as well, updating the players are able to join the table, players are able to leave a table. So all of these functions I've been able to write down today, which was quite cool in retrospect to think about. And in terms of progress, I feel quite confident, and I'm pretty much sure that it should be doable in next 6 days. So the plan is to work on the backend for next 2 or 3 days, and then we will do some part on the JavaScript on the front end side. And then finally, we'll be connecting both backend and front end together in order to have a sort of functioning web app. As of yesterday or day before yesterday, I was a little bit apprehensive in terms of the timeline, and I was also, there was a doubt in my mind that I might not be able to recall all the things that I had done 3-4 weeks ago in Go, in JavaScript. At least the Go part has been quite sorted so far. I do not have any issue. Like, I feel like I I'm still in the flow. I'm still in the continuation of whatever I've learned about 2 weeks ago, recall it. JavaScript is yet to see because I haven't practiced it for almost 2 weeks. So that we will see. But obviously, I'm gonna continue with Codex, where it will keep guiding me in terms of syntax and in logic as well. So that's the plan, and it seems achievable. Yeah, had a nice day today. Gained a lot of confidence as well in terms of writing the backend function. So yeah, happy to be back at coding. Really pleased with my sort of progression so far, and hopefully in next 6 weeks we'll be able to do something quite amazing, and we'll be able to continue to build on top of it as well later on. That's my goal. Well, that's pretty much it from myself for today. As usual, thank you very much for joining in. If you have any feedback for me, please do write it in the comment, and it would really help if you could subscribe to the channel, press a like button in the video, and I'll see you tomorrow. The plan for tomorrow is to go deeper into the game logic, and I guess hopefully I would be able to finish most of the backend logic by tomorrow. I've already set up the table, I've already set up the poker game logic. It's just that the individual actions are needed to be sorted out, and after that it would be pretty much just connecting it with front end, writing it on the front end in JavaScript, and just making sure that everything is working fine. Do a little bit of end-to-end testing, and it should be good to go. So next 6 days should be enough, and it's still to be seen. Thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow.